Hey guys, it's Kimberly. I am going to wait and see if we have some people jump on with us. It is Tuesday night. I'm pretty sure it's close to 8 o'clock, and so I'm coming a few minutes early just to let some people jump on with us. Sorry, I have my little heater running here as it's a little bit cool in the workshop tonight. So I have my little heater running, and you can probably hear some of my little baby chicks. So we did hatch some babies today, and well, we hatched one so far, and we've got some others that look like they're about to tweak their way out of their shell. And so that is part of what you're hearing in the background. Believe it or not, they're inside the incubator and they're very loud. So, and then we also have 6 other ones that are over there under a heat lamp right now. So that's, if you hear the little cheeping in the background, that is our baby chicks. We're welcoming them. It is spring, and so even with all the crazy chaos that we've got going on, we are welcoming new farm critters. And so that's what you're hearing in the background. You probably also hear my little heater running because, like I said, it's a little cool in here tonight, as the temperatures have dropped down a little bit here in North Carolina, where they had been pretty warm. And so they've dropped back on us. So I am just gonna say hello. I'm gonna welcome you guys. If you are new to this page and it is your first time viewing with us, thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Kimberly. I am from Unique Finds and Designs, Furniture and Decor here in Kernersville, North Carolina, and I am a Dixie Belle chalk paint artist, and I work with Permanent Design Transfer also. So again, thank you for joining us, and we are going to get started tonight on this chair that we had spoke about doing last Thursday evening. So if you guys follow our page, you're familiar that we normally do start to finish tutorials here, as well on our YouTube channel, as well as we have a blog as well that's blogging with the Vintage Queen. The last piece we finished, I'm going to kind of tweak you guys down here a little bit, and you can kind of see. I'll bring you in if I can here. I'm getting tangled up on a few things. So last time we were here, we were working on this little end table. So this is painted in the Bunker Hill blue, and the hardware on it is in the warm gold. I'm going to back out of here so we can kind of get up here with you guys. And we use the Moonshine Metallics and Gold Digger here at the bottom on this piece. And as well as using the Prima Design Transfer in Cosmic Roses. So that is what you are seeing on this piece. If you are first seeing this just went out on the airwaves actually a couple of days ago, if you will, of the week, and got this piece out. And so she is out now and is up for grabs. She's just curing in the workshop, because if you follow our page, you know that I normally allow for my furniture to sit and cure for a little while before I send them on their merrily way, or before I post them. So like I said, the hardware is done in the warm gold. It has warm gold highlights with the Cosmic Roses transfer, and so that's the little piece we just finished out of the workshop. So she's moving along to the side over here as I'm about to begin this chair. And I always try to do my start to finish tutorials, and this is a heavy little piece. So I'm gonna move her over because I don't particularly want to get the White Lightning cleaner on my fresh paint. So let me kind of zone you back up here, and I'm gonna pull our piece into play here. So we are going to be working on, and let me kind of fix our camera here a little bit, and I apologize there for the bobble. Move you guys back just a tad here, and that way maybe you'll have a little bit better view of the piece that we're working on. So the fabric on this piece is in excellent condition. So I didn't want to really mess with the fabric, but I felt like the wood on this piece, we could kind of bump it up a little bit and create that fabric to pop a little bit more. So that's where I'm headed with this. So what you see on this piece is I've gone around and I've taken the blue painter's tape, and I have taped off all around the edge of this chair, the fabric, because I'm not painting the fabric tonight. We're not doing that in this particular workshop. We have done it in the past, but this is a really, really great fabric. So we're seeing some rust here and we're seeing some gold, and so that rust and gold is going to work really well, I believe, with the color that I've chosen to apply to this piece. And we will be using, obviously, Dixie Belle chalk paint on this piece of furniture. So first and foremost, you guys know I always start at the very beginning and sort of work my way through the tutorial. So as you can see with this piece, it is not shiny, doesn't have a lot of shine to it, so I'm not really concerned about shine or sanding with this piece. It's relatively clean, but I am going to come in, and I do have it here, I am going to come in and use our White Lightning cleaner, because I always say start first, with your cleaner. Always clean your piece, because your White Lightning cleaner is going to do a couple of things for you. Not only is it going to take any wax, residue from Pledge, Old English, any of those sort of things, it's also going to take any kind of stain, tar, nicotine, anything like that that could be on the wood. And also, it's also going to degloss your piece a little bit for you. So it's going to kind of bring it down another notch when you're cleaning it. So I always clean my pieces really, really well. That is truly my first step. Ultimately, my first step on this before we got started was taping off all this fabric, because I'm painting all around where this fabric is. And I see a spot right here that looks like I could get to the fabric with my brush. And so I always try to make sure, and I will tell you, it is tedious taping off around fabric. It is a tedious job. And I had longer fingernails when I did this the other night, and I've cut them all back. So in doing so, I'm not as able to get into all those little nooks and crannies as well as I did. But you want to make sure you've got your paint pushed back off of your wood, so that when you pull your tape off, you're not going to have wood up underneath there that hadn't been painted. Also, I had in the works, and I thought I brought it out here with me, was the paint color that I have chosen is the peacock, which is what I feel like is going to really cause this fabric to sort of pop a little bit more here, and it's going to show the fabric off a little bit better, if you can see. So it's going to give it definitely a boho style, very Texas, if you want to say Western Texas style. So that's what I'm thinking with this piece. So, and that's where I'm headed with this. So I'm thinking I'm going to be using this. Well, I know I'm going to be using this along with some of our black wax. Listen, baby birds are trying to out-talk me. They're very loud tonight. And, and they heard me. They're listening very well. You would be surprised at the personality in these baby birds already. It's really interesting. So in this little spray bottle is my White Lightning cleaner, which is what I showed you guys. It's a powder cleaner. So I put it in with my warm water and I mix it up. And so that is my first step. And since I have my tape on here, I'm going to be relatively careful about my water necessarily getting, if you will, if I can get it to pump out. Here we go. Is being careful not to overly wet my tape, excuse me, and still be able to clean my piece. So I'm coming in here with a very clean cloth. So there's a good possibility this piece is very clean. I felt like it was when I got it and started to work on it. That's why I went ahead and just taped it, because I kind of figured that this would be less work. The hardest part on this piece is really not the cleaning part, it's the taping off your piece. So when you're taping it off, make sure you use a good painter's tape and get all around the edges, because this is where the fabric meets the wood. So sometimes, well, I should say most of the time, that's where your most tedious work's going to be in painting the chairs. Now I'm spraying down good at the legs, because I want to make sure that when I put this paint on this piece that I get the legs clean really well, because that's where, you know, we've been dusting, we've been putting our Pledge on our pieces, and I just want to be careful as I'm cleaning it that I don't pull my tape back off, because I should have probably cleaned it first, but this protects the fabric from me getting a bunch of our cleaner on it. Hey, how are you? Hey girl, how are you? How are you doing? You and your kids out there in Texas. Are you guys doing okay? I think I caught a clip of you with your craft projects. They were really super cute. This is one of my friends that's out in Texas. She's also a Dixie Belle lady out there. And we keep in contact a lot. And most of the time we don't get to see each other because she's on a live and I'm on a live at the same time. So, or really close together. I'm preparing for my live or doing my live and she's turning around preparing for hers. Yes, I've seen your crafts. I love them. They're so cute. We were doing our workshops, and our workshops were doing, and I will show, I was going to do this week, I'll probably do it Thursday, I was thinking of doing, and the door hanger, we had a workshop that, several of our workshops that have been canceled due to, obviously, all this craziness going on around us. Being I wasn't able to get those workshops accomplished, so we're going to do them live and just kind of have fun with that. So, yeah, I saw that, and I saw that you were going to be doing a sale as well, right, on your page. You guys, go check her out. She's amazing. She does wonderful work. All Dixie Belle, I feel like all the Dixie Belle retailers and artists out there do an amazing job at their job. So, you can't wait to do your workshops either. Girl, don't I know it. Don't I know it. Don't you think this chair will look awesome? Maybe you can see the fabric a little bit. Isn't that awesome fabric on this piece? So obviously I don't want to paint this fabric, but don't you think that it would look awesome? I was just speaking of Texas and boho style. So what do you think with that? Don't you think that'll pop really cool? I think that'll look, oh yeah, see, Thursday, awesome. So yeah, I am going to put this with this fabric. I think it's really gonna look, I was just saying, very Western, very Texas, super cool. So, what do they call that, boho gypsy style, or maybe, I think so. So, yeah, I loved it. So I'm just gonna come in here. Obviously this chair is really, I love all the wood in it. But I feel like it just needs a little something to pop this gorgeous fabric off. Because with the wood, it's not really making it say, hey, look at me. So I thought with the, I'm actually using the peacock. I think the peacock will really make it just kind of jump out and say, you know, I belong, you know, in a sitting room in front of a fireplace with a great big, well, I want to say longhorn, you know, longhorn cattle up on there. Cattle, I want to call it a rack, right? Cattle rack. Horns, antlers. I know, no, it's not antlers, it's horns, but I think it would look really cool. I could just see it kind of sitting in a master study area in that color. And I'm going to use some black wax with it. I just really think it'll look kind of cool. So that's kind of where I'm headed with this piece. So I'm kind of talking to you guys about how I kind of get an idea in my head before I start a piece. And so when I was looking at the fabric, you know, I was looking at it and I was looking at the color wheel, you know, and I'm thinking the opposite side of the color wheel. Obviously, we've got this rust color, and then you've got the gold in there. And when you look on your color wheel, you've got your oranges and your golds. And if you pop all the other way across, what are you going to find? You're going to find a peacock color. You're going to find that. You're going to find a mermaid tail, you know, something along those lines, which I feel like is just going to make this fabric just kind of jump out at you, because it's a gorgeous chair, but it's kind of hard to see when you just have the wood. So that's where I'm headed tonight with this piece. You have a suggestion for me, Clara? Because I know you have, her work is gorgeous. Y'all jump over on her page. It's Clara's Candy Furniture. You want to see her work. It's just stunning. And her and I, we've been talking and chatting a lot and talking about the different styles. And she did an old world piece. I did an old world piece. It's kind of funny. It's, even though we didn't know we were each going to be doing it, we just kind of jumped in there. And sure enough, we come up with kind of very similar ideas with our pieces. Let me grab my water bottle. my spray mist bottle because I have my oval medium brush here and it is dry, so I don't ever start painting with a dry brush. Aw, you're so sweet. So I am working with my oval medium brush tonight, and I am gonna miss my brush. I always miss my brush. It's a good clean brush. This is my go-to. I use it a lot, especially with chair legs, because then I can kind of go around the curves and that sort of thing. So I may have to lower you guys a little bit lower or tilt you down one, or actually rock my chair back. Either way, we can do it either way. But that's where I'm headed tonight. I'm gonna show you guys, this is the painter's tape that I put on here. And I have my oval medium brush. And like I said, I had longer fingernails when I put this tape on. But I'm gonna go back and make sure, because the tape's been on this piece for a little while, which isn't gonna harm it because it's on the fabric, it's not on the wood. Sometimes if you leave your tape on the wood, it gets a little harder to take off. But this is on the fabric, so it'll be good. It'll be easy to pull back off, but I want to make sure it stays on while I'm painting. So I've gone around all the edges and pressed it sort of down to make sure that there was no lift edges, so that when I begin, and you can see this is a well-loved jug of the Peacock, so there's not a whole lot in it, but trust me, ladies, you're not going to need a whole lot to paint a chair like this. It's not going to take a whole lot. Up underneath, however, up under here is going to be a little tricky, so just, you know, a little word of caution when you're getting your brush up under there, but it's no big deal, just kind of protecting your fabric. So if you wanted to, you can get your 2-inch wide tape that I have here on the sides, and you could just put a little strip of tape down in there. I'll just be cautious not to get it on my fabric because I don't want my fabric messed up. Let me move. Oh, you're so sweet. You're obviously going live tonight too, aren't you, soon? So let me move my White Lightning cleaner. As you can see, it wasn't really too dirty. It didn't get a whole lot on here, but you know, it's always a good idea to clean, with your White Lightning cleaner to make sure that you don't have any furniture polish between your paint and your piece. So you want to make sure that that's not in between your paint and your piece. And then I'm just going to go ahead and begin. I'm going to mist my bottle with my bottle onto my brush, so I make sure that my brush is damp. I don't want it sopping wet. I'm not going to dip it in water and then dip it in my paint, but I am going to make sure that my brush is moist. And I don't really need to moisten or wet my wood because this is my first application. And when I do my first application, I always go straight from the jar. If I need a second coat, then I'll come in and mist and put my second coat on. Most of the time with a dark color, a lot of times you can get away with the using just one coat. Especially when you're doing it in the style that I'm working with, because I'm gonna go boho style on this. So I'm probably gonna add some black, and it wouldn't surprise me. Don't quote me, wouldn't surprise me if I don't come in with some warm gold gilding wax and add a pop of gilding wax to this to pop off some of this gold. So that's a very good possibility when you're talking about working here and doing that. So I'm gonna come in here on the lower part so you guys can kind of see, and you'll see how it just kind of it's gonna start to pop that fabric. And I'm just gonna kind of get in here and get my chalk paint on. So I'm starting at the base and I'll work my way up. So it's gonna give it, I feel like it's gonna just really give this piece some pizzazz. And one thing I'm gonna do too while I'm thinking about it, let me just grab one of my little stir sticks here. Because I wanna make sure, when you have a jug like this, I don't have a whole lot on the bottom. So I have a little bit, but I wanna make sure that it's a chalk mineral base paint, you guys, so I wanna make sure that I got that, you know, blended. And so I always, doesn't hurt to stop and give it a little good mix. Thought I had it mixed, but I want to make certain. A lot of times you can tell if you're not getting the proper coverage in it, because you'll see right away how much it's covering. So So I don't have a lot of it in there, but I should have enough. Because like I said, I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna add some other color to it. So I'm not sure if you guys can see how that's going on. But I'm gonna tweak it out a little bit because I love that very ranch style furniture. And so that's how I see this piece. I mean, to me, you see all the cool lines that this is going to have. And don't mind me, I got my painting clothes on, so obviously my clothes I wear have paint on them when I come out to paint, for the most part. So they're not gonna look, you know, new. And I'm just gonna kind of bring this around. And again, I think I'm gonna get you all, just tilt you all down a little bit so you can kind of follow along and see what where we're headed with this, so that we can continue to paint. So I am just kind of thinking very Texas style. So I am just gonna come in here and get this color on this piece, and you'll start seeing it popping against this fabric. That's why I taped it off here, you guys, so that I wouldn't get it all over my fabric, because I don't really want it on my fabric. I just want it against my fabric, the color. Because all of you guys know you can paint fabric, obviously, with our chalk paints. That is something you can do. But that's not what I want to do with this. I want to keep my fabric because I love the color. I love how, I love the rust color mixed with this blue. I think it'll be really kind of, give it a whole different look. And let me think, I'm trying to think, did I take a photo? You know, I'm horrible about that, taking a before photo and not taking a before and after. A lot of times I forget. Thank you. I hope I like it. It's where I thought I was going with it, but I think it'll definitely have that character that you see in the, you know, in all the home improvement magazines nowadays. You're seeing a lot more bold colors coming through. Instead of all the neutrals, you are starting to see some bold colors, which is right up my alley, because I love working with the color. And so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna continue to put this on this old girl and see if we can make her just kind of jump out like you would see in a magazine, this pop color, sitting in one of those really, really, really cool rustic log homes out west. This definitely gives me the out west feel, and that's where I'm headed with it. So when this dries, I will come in and probably play in with some black wax. I'm really leaning toward maybe some black wax in here to go along with this piece. And I'm just leaning it up so you guys can kind of see where I'm going with the paint. And the boldness of this peacock. This is a bold color. When it dries, it may dry a little bolder. Our paints do tend to dry maybe a little bolder, or a little brighter, I should say, than when they go on. And that's normally when you can tell you have a really good paint, is when your paint actually is tinted, seems a little bit darker versus a little bit on the lighter side. A lot of paint will dry light and you'll have to do multiple coats. Whereas our paint goes on and it dries a little darker, or more of a, and that's what gives you that better coverage. And that's why we get better coverage. So while I'm painting this now, I'm not worried about tremendous, you know, absolutely cover to cover, if you will, because I know in my mind I'm coming back in with something else. So I'm getting the basic of it covered, and then I will come back in and add more as I go along. So let me spin her around. So you see I have not hardly used very much color at all. You can see why I taped it off, because I'm going to have to come in all the little nooks and crannies when you are painting your piece. I'm going to flip her up this way so y'all can kind of see, follow along here. Just getting my color on my piece. So this will be relatively easy, quick, not like some of my other pieces that have taken a lot of time. This one will be relatively quick. And I just wanted to have something to do, you guys, keep my mind busy and keep, my hands going. Just to have something to do in the workshop has been a blessing, just with everything that's going on and all of us having to stay indoors. Having your paint and being able to grab a brush and grab a project and just kind of keep your minds and your hands busy just surpasses the time so much easier during the week. And I've been kind of waiting on this one. I got a couple of other pieces. Gives me time also to kind of get an idea of where I'm going with some of the other pieces. So it sounds like we're going to have a little bit of time staying in our homes and doing, just keeping ourselves and our families safe. So while that's going on, just kind of doing some different projects along the way. So, you guys tell me, what are the projects you guys are working on in your homes? Getting a jump start, obviously, on our spring cleaning, those kind of things. That's what we're doing here. Just comment and let me know what y'all are doing. That way, we may have to be doing all this social distancing and everything, but it's not that we can't keep in contact with each other through social media, through text and messaging and all of that fun stuff. Thankfully that we have, those social platforms to work off of so that we can kind of still communicate with people that kind of inspire us and in our everyday lives and what we're doing. So be sure and jot that down so that I can respond and talk to you guys, because as much as this isolation is going on, we still need our communication with our groups, our people, and the things that inspire us to do what we do. So if you're interested in any products that need to be coming your way, I can still access those for you guys if you didn't get a chance to pick those products up prior to this stay in place ordinance kind of came through. So hopefully you guys were able to get the pieces and projects that you needed and the product for your projects prior to our stay in place. But if not, don't worry, we can still get some products out to you if need be. That is not a problem. You can just leave a message, message me in this video or beyond, and I'll be happy to kind of find out what you need and how to get it to y'all. So we'll figure it out. We always do, we always get through it no matter what comes. Everybody, we're great at, but this is a very resilient country that we live in, and we'll get through it, and we'll be stronger. I saw a young lady the other night, and she was talking about falling back on the strengths of her ancestors, and I thought it was very appropriate, because a lot of times some of the best memories and some of the best conversations have not always been through happy times. A lot of times there are hardships that go along, but their memories is what makes life happen. So that's when we know we're living life. We are doing things a little bit differently today than we were the other day, but that's just, change is inevitable no matter what you do. So we'll just run with it. So that's all we can do right now, is everybody kind of stay in place and stay safe, and realize the things that are important to us in life. Gives us a lot of time for some self-reflecting as well. I know that we have a lot of quiet moments to ourselves now, and it gives us an opportunity to reflect on the important things that are important to us, which is family and the connection with family and friends. And just having that opportunity to slow down a little bit. Sometimes I think the Lord reminds us that we are not in control of what's going on in this world. He is, and that we need to lean on Him a little bit more. And maybe it's just an eye-opener for all of us to put our trust and thoughts in Him. And I don't know, some of you may not be that kind of religious believer, but I am. And I think I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. And that's how I've always thought. And I believe that. And I believe He'll get us through this. He'll get us through. I'm sorry you hear my husband's truck out there. They normally go off on a little tangent when I go live. And so it sounds like they found their way back. They're just kind of riding around because there's not much else you can do. So they are coming back from their little journey. And so I'm just coming in here. I'm getting this paint on, as you guys can see. And I'm fixing to do the front part. Front part is a little more tedious with the fabric. And so what I'm going to do is come in here and set my towel. Kind of come in here and set my towel in. So that'll kind of help me from getting anything splattered on my fabric. So kind of my little way. And my jar is getting a little bit low on my paint. It's okay. I think we can get it. So I'm just going to work this color on because I am loving the blue. Got my paint here. And try not to drip on my fabric. I want it on my chair, but I don't want it on my fabric. The fabric is so beautiful. So again, I'm just getting this on. So if you have any comments or questions for me, hey, how are you? Trying to see who it is. My glasses are terrible, and I apologize. Try to get my glasses and get up there to see who's talking and who's on with us. And if you're just joining us, thank you for joining us. My name is Kimberly, and I am a chalk paint artist for Dixie Belle Chalk Paint. And I am local to the Kernersville, North Carolina area. So we welcome you. We thank you for joining our page and our broadcast this evening. So as you can see, we're getting further and further here. I'm just keeping my cloth on my bigger areas. And I'm gonna, maybe let's turn this so that you guys can kind of see here. And maybe I put myself, see where I can grab without grabbing the paint. And it's a little bit sturdy of a chair. I did get my hand in the paint there. So let me see, I'm gonna come around here and paint. So you guys can just kind of see where I'm going with this. So obviously I'm thinking very Texas style, big Texas style with this kind of ranch color. To me, it's nice and bold and bold and blue, and I love the blue. I think I'm gonna love the blue against this rust tone. So that's kind of where I was headed. I felt like it would just kind of make this fabric sort of pop in your face a little bit more. Kind of give this fabric show this fabric off. Because to me, this is gorgeous fabric. So, and that was my goal with this. Paint that in there. And it's super, 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 super color. I love this color. Anytime I paint with peacock or flamingo, obviously my mind certainly goes straight to the islands with the colors, because I love the peacock. And I'm going to tilt you guys up a little bit because I'm going to come in here. If I can pull you in, and kind of work on this back section here where you guys can kind of see a little bit better. And you can see I'm getting a little bit further down in my paint. I'm going to come behind my piece. That way I'm not walking in your view. You just come right in here and put this color on. So this is peacock. This is certainly, to me, a teal. To a lot of people, I don't know what a lot of people would say. Teal can have a lot more green in it, but to me, this is more of a turquoise kind of teal, maybe. I'm gonna turn you. There you go. I don't know what some people will call it versus what I see it as, but I look at it as to be like a turquoise color, if that makes sense. And so that's what made me think that that's a boho, big Texas, big sky. Is that what they call it, big sky Texas? Maybe, I think. I'm getting some of that on the sides of my brush, which is rare. I don't normally get it, but it's because I'm sticking it so far down into the container. So just kind of walking around my piece here. Push it over because I don't want to get it don't want to get any paint on my fabric, so I'm trying to stay back off of my fabric. Let me back you guys up a little, so that might be a little better for you. And as you can see, I'm getting down to the wire of the paint, but I'm also, as you can see, getting down to the wire on my color on my chair. So I'm pretty much got the chair in its coverage. And I don't mind it being a little bit thin if you want to put it on a little bit thin, because I know that I'm coming in with some other color here, so it's not going to be a big issue for me. But if it is, obviously we'll put it on a little bit heavier. And I'm just kind of going around and filling in areas where I don't have it like underneath. So I'm going to have to go on the bottom parts of the legs, behind the backs of the legs that I didn't get to. And hello, how are you? It's Kimberly. How are you from Germany? Thank you for joining. Working on this the Big Sky Texas chair, I call it. As you can see, the fabric. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you for joining our broadcast. And I am working in the peacock color. So that's the color that you see me putting on. And I want to make sure I don't put my paint on my piece. As far as getting it on my fabric. But I want to get it on all of my wood. So I painted the wood in the peacock, and I did obviously tape this all off. Now you could have sprayed it just as easily as I'm hand painting it, so you could have used your sprayer on it. You would have just had a much more massive paint tape off job to do that with. So in order to do that, you would obviously tape off all the fabric and spray your piece. And a lot of people do use sprayers today. I do on some things. If I'm spraying a piece, it's normally a piece that's more like a china cabinet, where I'm painting inside of a china cabinet. Then then that's kind of my go-to thing, to go in and do that with my sprayer. But in a case like this, when I'm working on these smaller projects, I don't necessarily do all of that and go get a gun and add all that to just do a chair, if you want to call it that, just do a chair. Now if you were doing multiple ones at the same time, yeah, I could see that. where you would want to do that. And you would tape it off, and then you would tape all of your fabric off and go in and do it that way. I'm gonna try to get y'all where you can see. So I'm just gonna come in, and I see on this one side here, I wanna get up under this wood, and so I'm just gonna come in here and tweak around, because when I'm sitting down, I can kind of see around the piece and underneath the piece a little bit better. So that's why even though I have the painting stool where I could sit and roll around on the stool, I a lot of times just kind of come in and sit on the floor, because it gives me a closer view of what I'm doing on all of the details. So that's why I kind of get under so that I can see from the other angles. And let me grab this. Let me see if I can pull this around. Now that I got it all painted, I'm going to just kind of spin it around to where I can get to a different angle of the chair without getting any paint, because I'm still seeing here on some of the back where I will be working on the back side here of this chair. So where I'm working on the back of the leg, because that leg has not been painted yet. And I'm gonna miss my brush because I've been painting for a little while, and so my brush needs to stay damp. And also I'm getting lower in my paint, as you can see. But I believe in using all of my paint. So I get down in there, I dampen my brush, and I get some more paint on, and just to keep a rolling on it. So that way I'm utilizing all of my paint and getting in all these nooks and crannies. So I'm just kind of wedging my brush in there. And again, this is the tricky spot right here, which is what I was telling you guys about. And if you have a smaller, and I do have several painter's brushes, you can get in here with a smaller brush and go at it that way. So you can do that. I'm just kind of working my brush in there where I need it to be. And as you guys know, we can't get to our hairdressers right now, and my hairdresser would be like, don't get that turquoise paint in your hair. And you know me, I always show up and she says, you have paint in your hair. And I'm like, I always have paint in my hair, no matter what. Because I'm not thinking about my hair, I'm thinking about my paint, and I end up getting paint in my hair every single time. But you know what? I see people paint their hair all the time, or dye their hair all the time with these bolder colors now. You see the hot pink and this, that, and the other out there. So I don't think it would stark anybody too much, especially now that we're indoors and we don't get to see anybody anyway. So I don't think I'm gonna, hurt anybody's feelings, but she would be probably saying, mind your hair, tie your hair up. And then I don't. Because half the time I just come out here and get ready to do the broadcast, and don't you know, tonight I didn't have my hair bow with me, so it's no biggie. Just kind of keep pushing it out of my hair, out of my face. So that's all I'm doing. I'm just going around. I'm getting my base coat, if you will, of my, this is peacock, but in my mind it's a turquoise. And I put it on here so that it would pop really nicely against this color. So it may look a little different on our screen because of the lighting in here. And again, I know you probably hear my little birdies in the background. So let me see if I can get you a little bit better there. So you can hear my little chickens, baby chickens that are hatched out now. Some of them are still in the incubator hatching, working on getting hatched, and that's the sound that you're hearing in the background, as well as I got a little heater going here. So I'm just going up under here to this wood. So I apologize if I got my head in your way. So I'm just gonna come up in here. I don't have a lot of paint on my brush so that it's less likely that I drip on it. So I just kind of flipped it over there. And I am using this oval medium, which is a little bit of a fatter brush, but it holds paint pretty well. Yeah, I'm just kind of sliding my paint up under there, keeping off of my fabric. So that's what I'm doing on that side. bring this around. So you'll see as it kind of dries, it'll kind of darken a little bit more, and that's all very normal before putting it on. So I am just going to continue on looking for areas where we got a little spot showing here or there, and just kind of come in and tweak that in a little bit more. And when I do that, like I say, I keep my brush damp because it just kind of helps. I've got my little heater running behind me, so that does dry my paint a little bit quicker when you are working with something underneath or something besides you blowing heat onto your chalk paint, so it will dry a little bit quicker that way. Normally about 15 to 20 minutes, your first coat will pretty much be drying in, and it'll start to take on its look for the piece. So that's pretty much what I'm gonna just finish up here tonight and do, and hopefully on Thursday we will come back and show you how we are applying maybe some black wax is where I'm thinking I'm going with this, and then maybe also along some of these edges that I will be highlighting this gold that you're seeing in this fabric. So we will be bringing in and putting on those other elements to this piece as we go along. So hopefully you guys will jump back on with us on Thursday evening, and we will show you some of the wax techniques that we're putting in, as well as coming in and maybe doing a little highlighting with the gold gilding wax to kind of pull off some of the gold in this fabric. So if you are new here, we thank you for joining us tonight. We hope you will jump on our YouTube channel and visit our videos over there. We have lots of tutorials there to help you out if you're beginning stages of chalk painting, and now is a great time to jump in and get some of those going since we are doing the stay home and stay safe. So I thank you very much for viewing. I would like to thank all of you guys that have been following our page. We appreciate you, and we thank you for that, and we pray that everybody stays safe during this stay in place, and we will see you again on Thursday. So Thursday 8 evening. Thank you so much, and hope you all have a very blessed evening. Bye, folks.